Welcome to this Dreamweaver technique for self-reflection that can help you manage yourself and improve your mental health by daily checking in. This method is based on neuroscientific findings that our internal turmoil of thought processes are made up of distinct network parts of our mind that compete to deal with our emotional, bodily, and social needs based on our own experience and memories. These are known as parts of ourselves that, when balanced, are integrated. They enable us to feel joyful in being true to ourselves. So it's critical to check in on a regular basis and balance our own needs in an effective, structured manner. This technique was created to take advantage of the fact that the brain, in its healthy state, uses dreams to process solutions. So it is best to do this before bed to retrain your mind to solve its own problems and sleep better through dreams. If you do this during the day, be in a safe place and set an alarm now for 20 minutes, because science shows that sleeping much longer than this will begin to release chemicals that make us feel groggy and have a negative effect on our mood, as it usually takes hours for our body to clean that chemical up after we go to sleep at night. Begin now by sitting comfortably and uncrossing your arms and legs in an occasional chair outside the bed. Do you want to give this a shot? It is a quick and easy technique once you get practiced that can help you improve your self-management abilities. If you're reluctant to do school-like activities, keep in mind that practicing mental health exercises is similar to exercising your body to maintain physical fitness, because the mind's natural state without training is to worry. Instead, this is a fun, self-directed, creative process. Let's begin the reflection process by recognizing the issues that may be bothering you. Sitting in an occasional chair in a bedroom for thinking outside of bed, so that we don't disturb your sleep by beginning thinking patterns in bed. Take a deep inhale. Roll your shoulders back, relaxing into the chair and straightening your arms and legs with each breath, relaxing. Then twiddle your fingers on your left hand and raise that palm up, picturing each of your daily necessary tasks and responsibilities in that hand. Notice the weight of those. Turn over that hand and look over to your right hand, turning up the palm, imagining it's carrying all the themes of your daily thoughts, such as relationships or work, and consider for a moment as if those thoughts were represented on a pie chart. How much percentage of your daily thinking is each theme taking up? Is employment or other obligations taking up a larger portion of your time than it should? Is self-care given the attention it deserves in your mind space? Now, as you take a deep breath, hold it until you feel a small dizziness. And slowly exhale and notice the wave of relaxation washing over your body, as occurs when deep breathing after running due to the benefits of oxygen. Slowly drop both those hands down, letting them sink, relaxed. We must acknowledge our struggles to deal with them, even though we know they exist and that dwelling too long before bed is ineffective. So now think, in that left hand, in the back of it that you can see, are there any other tasks that were hidden when your palm was up that you've been putting off? And on the right, are there any other things you've been avoiding thinking about? As I mentioned, those things we'd rather not consider. What physiological symptoms arise in your body? Can you recognize any of these things yet, buried deep within you? Are there bodily manifestations and sensations related to this? Is it a temperature or pressure in the torso, in the head, or another part of the body? Do you experience any physical signs as a result of your thoughts, like uneasiness, even if it's subtle? When we think about those obligations in particular, these thoughts you'd rather not be thinking, how strong is that manifestation? On a scale of 0, being calm, not an effect, to 10 being most distressing. If we rate the severity of our physical symptoms, we'll be able to monitor our progress and know when we need to make changes or to seek help if the problem is bigger than us. Let's shift your attention to something fascinating in the room or outside, or peruse a short section of a good book. Imagine something briefly now, or read a list of words that will distract you and get your mind to concentrate on more creative ideas that will provoke positive creativity. Look around and identify some distinctive things you see, hear, and feel in the room. Consider something amusing or nice you witnessed in the last few days. Take a deep breath. And close your eyes as you deeply relax. We just had a short exposure to our struggles, and this distraction now helps train our subconscious brain that it is acceptable to reflect on our struggles without having to have the illogically triggered symptoms. And back to imagining now. Notice the colours and shapes behind your eyes. As if when you look at the light and then close your eyes, you see these forms that's frequently seen beyond description. They move around in various colours. Take note of those now and make them into something random and fun. Similar to how you would characterise a cloud as a particular shape when you're a child. Change it to make it more intriguing. What is that shape? Now take one of your previous positive thoughts, or any other random idea that comes to mind, and picture what you might do with this shape. Is it an object or a being to interact with? Is the form of any colour changing? Is there a sound or scent? Make it up. Be wildly creative. What might happen next? Really fill this concept out like a daydream with fun events. What might happen next? Later on. Like a little film clip in your head. Make this into whatever you want it to be. What else could happen? Consider all that process as it develops. You get better at this each time. I also think back now, if we were to write a chapter before this imagined thought, how did the colours and hues that you imagined then turning them into some kind of object or thing or being, how did they arrive in that scene to be observed or interacted with? What happened before? Was there another part of the story that you can imagine now that might have happened before that? Was the start pleasant? What else could have happened before that? Who was there the entire time, and who has been watching at different stages in these imaginings? And who should have been there? Or is there someone you don't want to be there? Take a deep breath and hold it in. Slowly exhale and open your eyes wide. Noting you're still here and wondering why your brain chose those imaginings. Despite the fact that the brain will always be a mystery to some degree, we now know through science that there are always links in each thought to our other patterns of thinking. So let's see if this can inspire novel solutions you hadn't considered before for those things on the back of our hand that we don't really want to think too much about now. In our waking lives, we frequently have to set aside onerous chores or painful thoughts in order to cope with daily living. Let's investigate whether there was a parallel theme amongst the imaginings whether you went off somewhere in enjoyment to steer away from less preferred themes, such as those chores and thoughts we'd rather not think about on the back of our hands. Were there any milestones, imagined epiphanies, or other occurrences that resonated in your imagined daydream? What felt right? What felt powerful? Was it linked to something significant in your mind? Were there any unusual sensations or other bodily symptoms, no matter how minor, such as tension or temperature, that seemed to be significant during the imaginings? Were there any other synchronicities? That is, if you could float back in time through crucial lifetime pivotal moments and through early childhood foundational memories, did they have an analogy to any of these images? Notice if there's an explanation that comes to mind about these associated or nuanced themes in your daydream. As tangential and odd as it may be, do they connect to your life now? How strongly did any part of this, or what you received of it, resonate with you out of 5, with the highest being that there was something powerful there, and 2 being mild? Because if it was above 4, then is it bigger than you, needing external help? Or if it's less than 2, is there avoidance or difficulties there that require professional assistance? Or is life simply that excellent in the long run for you? Thinking of solutions to problems can sometimes be as simple as devoting a little time at the start of each day to some of the difficult thoughts and tasks we've been avoiding. Because science tells us that if we start the day with enjoyment, such as watching TV, then our subconscious mind becomes frustrated with us that there are obstacles we're not addressing. Otherwise, in life, if we can't solve problems, we often naturally seek out supports of various friends and associates over the course of the next few days. And it's interesting how we all have friends who offer different kinds of advice, such as one who's a bit of a freedom fighter defending our rights, while another might be more of a carer of your needs, avoiding aggression. And in fact, these supports we all naturally seek align with the parts of our minds that are in conflict. So picture the most zealous support you have, first and foremost, in the domain of them being a warrior-like protector, and consider what wild, potentially outrageous solution they might come up with to resolve your conflict. Just assume you're not going to do it, because the point of this exercise is to look for solutions outside of ourselves. So what might they do in an extremified version of this imagining? And now, if a wise companion were present, what would they take over and say? You may not realise what they would say, but imagine they spoke to you and everyone else involved in the circumstances in a way that was so intelligent in clarifying everything as undeniable truths. Now, the reality of situations isn't always kind because the truth hurts. So consider what a caring, nurse-like figure would do for you and potentially for anyone else present in that moment. This can be difficult, but would they offer you a hug, a comforting meal, or other self-care advice? When a wild protector arrives and harsh truth is then revealed by a wise person, another contemplative friend may have had a different counsel on how to approach the situation in a socially appropriate way. What would a person who is preoccupied with doing what is ethically correct say? Now, you may not do any of these things, but I believe you'll find they reflect extreme versions of the opposing thoughts in your mind. So I wonder if there is a way in which you could combine these elements to create a solution that you would be proud to implement. Consider the imagined daydream once more by imagining what the next scenario might be. What other occurrences are possible? Are there any personal connections to the scenarios in your dream that signify something to you? Could these associations provide a new insight? Is there anything you learned about your emotional tendencies, or how you felt about what these wildly exaggerated friends would do in your daydream? What emotions did you feel during this procedure that may have prompted you to repeat these patterns? What sensations did you observe, and where in your body did you feel those things? Could these physical cues point to other times that you felt this way in the past? Pointing to other unresolved issues that your body's calling you to address? If you can identify similar disputes or significant concerns in your life that may be linked, analyze any recurring themes or patterns. Could these patterns call for you to gently set a boundary with logical explanations and possible productive outcomes, where you could perhaps safely practice this in this process until you're confident enough to implement what you've internalized in your mind in reality? Neurologically, our environment can also influence our imaginings. For example, if your physiological conditions such as hunger, cold, or stress impacts on your thoughts, is this reflective of what's going on in life, or is it simply hunger or stresses or such disrupting this technique that we may have to deal with before we do this again next time? Overall, how do the concepts relate to your recent thoughts? Or is this just a fun process to check in and make sure you're okay before going to bed? Consider your task list coming up in the future days. Is there a recurring theme? Are you balanced in the sense that you do equal parts amongst the things you value, like doing enough self-care and accomplishing enough whilst still remaining true to your relationship needs? Consider how solving your problems will affect your productivity and overall health, as well as what others may observe. What would they see when you put these things into place? Take a deep breath and let it go. If nothing's resolved now, the dream process may resolve it for us overnight. Stretch. Get out of that occasional chair. Starting to get ready for bed now. If you wake up from a dream later about any of this, or that's associated or resonates, write it down for reflection in repeating this process tomorrow night. Or if you can't sleep tonight, go back to your occasional chair and repeat this whole process so that we're not overthinking in bed. Now, settling into bed, I want to give you a different method to help transition to sleep, which does not involve any counterintuitive need to think more. So humour me in trying this unusual physical way to relax. First, sitting up in bed and rubbing your hands together, as if to heat them up, burning out the negative vibes by heating them up and breathing deeply, holding that breath, and slowly as you breathe out, releasing any negativity and beginning to move those hands apart, imagining a ball of swirling positive energy emerging in your hands, as if coming from above and below of the sky and earth. Certainly there's nothing there. This is just to take our thoughts and attentions out of our thought processes and creatively transition to sleep. Just like the brain goes into a nonsensical dream state just as we drift off to sleep. Now slowly pull your hands apart so you have glowing, healing hands, and place them over your feet while you're sitting up. Feeling relaxation as you let go of tensions, and relaxation flowing out of your hands through your feet. In that area of your body, slowly bring your hands up across your calves, Feeling relaxation as those muscles sink into the bed and progress up your body, over the thighs, relaxing through the abdomen, everything settling deeply into the bed. As you lay down, sliding your hands over your torso, go into a big stretch. And yawn. Then with your hands straight in front of you and your limbs uncrossed, imagine your thoughts as like a flock of birds. Some would be leaders, while others would be asked to fall into line and follow. Just as the brain's neural network interacts. And picture those birds slowing down and moving apart so that you can enjoy the space of the warm sunlight between each bird. Also, enjoy the comfort as each of those thoughts interact naturally, and appreciate the spaces between them. Those birds, the sky, the delightful clear view, that emptiness in your mind between each thought. As the birds move further apart, extend the gaps between each thought until you gently fall into appreciating a warm, cozy slumber. If you're drifting off now, understand that you've embarked on a powerful creative journey that can help you unlock your full potential and foster personal development. If you are doing this during the day, gradually start to open your eyes, stretch and reflect on the technique, grounding yourself in the present moment by taking notice of what's around you. What 3 things do you observe? As well as what things do you feel, such as the chair you're sitting in? What do you hear around you in the distance? Return to the present moment by taking a few deep breaths. Allow yourself to feel a sense of relaxation and serenity. Opening the eyes wide now and considering what you do next. Remember to practice this method at least twice a week for a few minutes in your own mind or through this guided process to improve your mental health by checking in with your own needs.